Hey everybody, how you doing? This is DJ Hawk with Metal World Radio, and right now I am very honored to be able to interview Maxxxwell Carlise. Hi Max, how you doing?
Great, how about you?
I'm doing awesome. I want to thank you for taking time out and, being very patient with me so we can do this interview.
Oh yeah, no problem. I'm happy to be here.
Great. So for all the Metal World listeners, the way that I like to do this is, can you tell them a little bit about yourself and your music?
Yeah, for sure. Well, I'm basically involved in a couple of main things. I'm a solo artist, first of all. I've released several solo albums, and the latest thing I have out is an EP called Full Metal Thunder, which is kind of what I'm pushing right now. And then the other thing is I'm also the guitar player in a band called Hellion, which is a band that's been around for a long time, since like the early 80s. And the band was kind of on a hiatus for a few years, and then recently has kind of started a comeback, and so I'm like the new kid in the band, basically. But so those are basically the two basic things I do. And I just, I love metal, and I love shredding and playing guitar and everything that goes with it.
You have such amazing talent. Oh my God, I do know Hellion. I do know the music. How exciting! What inspired you to pick up the guitar and just pour your soul into it?
Well, it's kind of a funny thing, because I think most guys, who play guitar, they have an inspirational moment or something that comes from like hearing a song, or it has something to do with the music itself. But for me, the moment for me was more about like the idea of like the larger than life image, and the guys, you look back at guys like, Eddie Van Halen or Slash, guys like that, whether or not you like their guitar playing, they've got this great persona of being like larger than life, and, this kind of like sometimes a mystery about them in a way. And that was the thing that really attracted me to it, and obviously I love the music too. And I love the technical aspects of playing guitar. I really get into it. But as far as first getting started, that was the kind of stuff that kicked me off.
Oh man, that is extremely different from what I've heard from interviewing different guitarists and stuff. That's great. I mean, and once you started playing guitar, I mean, I'm sure there was like an instant and automatic connection between you and your music. What can you remember the first song that you ever learned on guitar?
Oh, the first song, I mean, it was pretty standard stuff. I mean, obviously you have to start with the easy stuff. So it was probably like, Smoke on the Water or something like that.
Right.
Yeah, I think it might have been, it was Smoke on the Water, and I probably learned like the riff from Louie Louie or something, which is like 3 notes, So yeah, not exactly virtuoso material, but just stuff to get you started,
Oh, yeah. I remember the first time I picked up guitar, mine was a Crazy Train.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Even though, my father played guitar for a long time, and I was always listening to him, he played like the Spanish music, you know what I'm saying?
Sure, yeah.
So they'd have them drunken parties, and they'd sit in the back with all their friends, and it was just great, So I was raised around music. Were you raised around music? Did you have those kind of influences in your home as you were growing up?
Yeah, I definitely did. My dad played guitar, although it wasn't metal. It was very like folk type music. And then I have an older sister who played viola. She was in the orchestral music and things like that. So I definitely was around music, but none of it was really metal. That was stuff that I got into as I kind of musically matured a little bit, and got into I was able to hear other things, and I fell in love with metal.
Oh man, once you fall in love with metal, it's hard to get out.
Oh yeah, I don't think you ever can.
I don't think you ever can. I mean, I've seen people that like have had that metal experience, and they're just like, oh my God, ShamWow, I can't go any further, than this. This is amazing,
Yeah.
And I love it.
Once you go metal, you can't go back.
Right, there you go. Stay metal, my friends. Metal World Radio supports a lot of independent artists and bands that aren't signed and things like that. When talking with people, I really like to know, there's a lot of people going to start listening and have been listening to your talent. What is the one thing that you can tell them that'll inspire them to keep on with the passion of music?
Well, that's a really great question, actually. I mean, I would say that if you look around at the musical landscape today, you look at the music that's in the mainstream, that's considered good and popular, not by musicians, but by, I don't know, the average person or something. I think a lot of us, certainly metalheads, will agree that it's really pretty bad. I mean, if you look at Justin Bieber and whatever else, I mean, it's, in my opinion, it's a bunch of garbage, and I think that is just all the more reason for, musicians who are really passionate about what they do, to band together and to really put out something that has substance and something that really has meaning to them, because the world really needs that right now. Because, I mean, I don't know, maybe 20, 30 years ago when you had great bands out there that were in the mainstream and in the public eye all the time, that was a different time, but now it's just like, the stuff you hear on the radio is just so cookie cutter, and predictable, and, it needs to be fixed, in my opinion. And the metalheads and the musicians who are passionate about what they do, they're the ones who are going to fix it.
Definitely. Oh, you gave me chills with that answer. Excellent answer. And it's very inspiring, to see that the one thing that captivates me the most is, like, especially with metal, it's not pre-made songs like it is with the things that are on the radio. Somebody else is writing their stuff.
Oh, yeah.
When you get, like, for you, for instance, I bet, there's just like so many things that just come through you and you're just like, oh my God, I've got to share this with everyone. And
yeah, I mean, and there's one of the most frustrating things I deal with is that I have so many ideas, but not enough time to pursue them all. You gotta make time for things. And, kind of like you mentioned earlier, as an independent musician, there's so many other things you have to deal with besides just making music, so, I mean, I don't worry that I'm ever going to run out of, ideas.
Well, definitely not, because it's coming from the heart. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then that's what I see too, like we were talking about, with the music industry now. These people like Justin Bieber, Miley Cyrus, who probably got in because of her daddy, because she doesn't have talent. They will burn out because none of that music comes from the heart.
Yeah.
Listening to the things that you've created and the music that you play, it's just like, holy shit. That comes from the heart, and it's captivating and it grabs you. And that's exactly what people need. And you're absolutely right. People need to rebuild a passion, a spark that's going to help them make it through the day and not just make them believe whatever media wants them to believe. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, totally. And I feel like kind of in the same way, like music today has almost become kind of like background, like background noise. It's like nobody, you listen to, the top 40 songs or whatever, and it's like nobody really even pays very much attention to the lyrics anymore, just because there's not much to them. I mean, there's not much to pay attention to. And so I feel like it just, even though it might be a popular song or selling well or whatever, it just kind of becomes in the background, but you go back and you listen to, Mr. Crowley or something, and it's like, it's got so much deep meaning to it that, I mean, you can sit there and just listen to it, put the headphones on or whatever and tune out the world. And that's another thing that I feel like is really missing these days.
Wow. Absolutely blown away by your answers. I mean, it is missing. I mean, and you're absolutely right. It's like elevator music.
Yeah.
You just sit there and you kind of bob your head only because you're in the elevator, but when you're able to get, the lyrics, like for instance, one song that really moves me that I've been like kind of stuck on lately is Highwayman. I don't know if, but it's a remake by Iced Earth. And, I actually sat there and I looked at the lyrics, and when you're able to reach into a song and find something that connects with you, something that tells you about your life, something that says, hey, you know what, you can make it through, man.
Yeah.
And what is the one song that you feel like that you play for your masses that really reaches them and gives them that feel?
You talking about a song of my own?
The song of your own.
Well, there's a song off of the new EP called Marching with the Dragons, and that's one of my favorite tunes to play live, and I feel like it has such a great, it's got a great headbanging vibe to it, and it's kind of like, it just talks about everybody kind of banding together and moving forward together and fighting the good fight and that kind of thing, and kind of a sense of unity and that kind of thing.
That's perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, you have your EP out, which is Full Metal Thunder. What was some of the previous works that you did before that?
Well, yeah, before Full Metal Thunder, I did another EP called Visions of Victory, which had a different vocalist on it. And then before that, I did actually a full-length instrumental album called Speed Force.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I mean, obviously not everybody gets into the instrumental stuff, but that's something I'm really proud of, and it had a couple of great guest players on it. It had Michelangelo Badio. From Nitro, and obviously he has a great solo career too. And also Tina Guo, who is she's actually an electric cellist, and she's not like an everyday metal musician, but she's one of the top cello players actually in the world, and she does like an electric shred cello solo on one of the songs, which just kind of took it to another level. And then before that, I actually did my first solo album, which was called Ramming Speed, and that was like a full-length vocal-based album. And it was my first album, and obviously I was still kind of finding my footing with some things, but there's some songs I really love off that album too.
And which are some of them?
Well, the title track, Ramming Speed, is one of my favorites, and there's also a song called Black Thunder, which is really, really a great tune. I really enjoyed playing that one live. People,
you guys got to go check out where Maxxwell has started to where he is now, and you're going to see that his music definitely comes from the heart. And, a lot of people are going to catch that alone. And what's really cool about this is that you're letting them know these are the ones that move me when I'm on stage. These are the songs that hopefully you can connect to. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And I'm really glad, obviously, that, it comes across that way to you, because obviously that's, I want people to get into it, and I want people to, enjoy listening to the music as much as I enjoyed making it.
And what are your live shows like? I mean, when you see the crowds, okay, this is a good question. When you get a good crowd response and you're on stage, what kind of feelings do you get?
It's just it's simple. It's just a feeling of victory. Like I've been fighting a battle and I just won. Because there's so much, especially in the live scene, there's so much crap that you have to go through. Dealing with booking agents, and publicists and things like that. And
venues and
when you finally get on stage and you get to perform for people, that's the payoff. And so, when you play your set and everybody's into it, and you just get this great feeling of like you won the battle.
Exactly. And a lot of people don't understand. For me, this is one of my biggest pet peeves, okay? Is a lot of people don't understand the work that goes into trying to get a musician out to the venue or finding the venue, and for them just to not show up and support their scene or get to meet musicians like you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, that's a big, it's honestly, it's a frustration for me too, because, sometimes, obviously not everybody is like this. There's a lot of people who do understand the work, but, sometimes you get people who think like, oh, well, you just kind of roll up to the venue in your car and you step out with your guitar and you just walk on stage and there you go,
Right.
It's like, oh, there's so much work that, not just, obviously writing the songs and recording and rehearsals and all this stuff, but then, there's work, setting up tours. That's a huge amount of work, and like I said, unfortunately, it's a business, it's the music business. And so you get a lot of people who are, trying to rip you off and things like that. And so it's just, it's so much, so much stuff you have to wade through.
I think the most honorable thing I could say right now for you, Maxxwell, is that you have continued, despite all the crap musicians have to go through to bring out their passions and share it with the world. You're continuing to do it, and you're growing, and you can just tell that you as a person, you'd be one of the people that I would love to meet after your show.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah,
Oh,
definitely would. I'd be like, oh my God. I'd be like, hail. You know what I mean?
that'd be awesome.
Victory, definitely. Because, music is, like I always say, music is a universal language. And it doesn't matter where you're from, what part of the world, when music is that good. And especially your music, because, God, you're a virtuoso.
Oh, thank you.
You know what I'm saying? So this is really going to, your music is now, I mean, I'm hoping that it's affecting people's life, people's energies, people's way of thinking.
I hope so too. And what I think, you got me thinking about, memorable live shows and things like that now. And one of the best compliments that I ever got, maybe just in my life in general, not just in music, was I did a show, and this was at the Whiskey Go-Go in Hollywood,
Mm-hmm.
and did the show, and I felt good about it. I felt that, yeah, really, I played great and this kind of thing, and it was a good crowd response, and then I got off stage and we were done, and I was just kind of hanging out in front of the club, and a guy came up to me and he says, when I saw you get on stage, I really wanted you to suck. I really wanted you to suck, but you didn't, and you were great. And so it was like, he was telling me that he saw me come up there, and obviously, my image is a little bit different than a lot of musicians, and he was hoping that I was somebody that he could make fun of and that kind of thing. But I was, through the course of the performance, I was able to turn him around, and he ended up becoming a fan, and that was such a great feeling for me.
Oh, hell yeah, that would be. See, that's what I mean. That is just great. You blew him away. Hail. I love listening to musicians tell me about things like that, because it's very important to get a response from people that support your music, even if they don't support your music, but to hear their opinion and to see that they've connected in one way or another. That alone is a blessing, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, definitely.
What was one of the other memorable shows that you've had? What was the biggest crowd you ever played in front of?
I've played in because I've played in other bands besides my solo stuff and Hellion. So, biggest crowds would be probably 2,000 or 3,000 people, but that was with another band I used to play up in Seattle several years ago. So, because most of the stuff I do now is in clubs, club size gigs. So it's several hundred people, that kind of thing.
Right.
The stuff with Hellion, we've got some stuff lined up towards the end of this year that should be, some festival dates and things like that, which I'm really looking forward to. But yeah, there's so many great memories from shows. There's some bad ones too.
Yeah.
Problems, that kind of stuff. But there's always challenges, but you get through it.
Yeah, like amps starting on fire, or venues going, hey, you can't play tonight, we booked karaoke. You know what I'm saying? You're like, excuse me? It's great to hear, exactly what you've gone through your metal journey. And
yeah, I did a gig, this is 2 or 3 years ago, where at one point I had a second guitar player in the band, and the guy was just, real nice guy and everything, and a good player, but he was just kind of in a different state of mind some of the time, let's just say.
He was smoking weed. No, I'm just kidding.
and so we were playing a gig, and he somebody from the side of the stage brought him up a beer, and he grabbed it and he set it on top of his amp and accidentally dumped the beer into his amplifier.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, and it was like a tube amplifier, and it just all this smoke and popping, and just totally fried the amp and stuff. And he's just like, oh man, sorry dude, I didn't know. It's there's just stuff like that you could never predict,
Right, you can't predict anything like that.
Yeah.
But you can prevent that, people, so please do not put liquids on top of your electronic stuff. What is the one thing that you would love for people to know right here, right now?
The one thing I would have to say, I really believe in what I'm doing in terms of the music and in terms of kind of the message that I'm trying to get out there. And that message is just that, metal is not just a kind of music, but it's a way of life, and it's a way of approaching situations, and just a way to look at life. And I really do believe in that. And I think sometimes people will look at what I'm doing, and they'll look at my image and things like that, and they'll be like, oh, they don't take me seriously sometimes because they think I'm kind of deliberately being over the top. But it's just, the way people see me and the way my music comes across, it's a pretty genuine, portrait of who I am. So I think that, if there's one thing I can get across to people, that's what it would be.
Oh man, perfect. What I really like about this right here, getting to know you, Maxxwell, is that you talk from heart and you talk from experience. And a lot of people, you say they see your image in a certain way, but the way that I see it is you're definitely someone that I would follow, I would fan, I would purchase your merchandise, and I would be at your show.
Thank you.
Your music is just absolutely amazing, and it moves people. That's the type of things that your music is, the type of music that'll get you motivated to get out of bed and kick the ass's day, Did I say that all backwards? The day's ass.
I know what you mean. It's all good.
Oh, man. Ass day it is. Going all Yoda and yeah. So bad. I get all tongue-tied sometimes, It's just wow. So when people are looking for your music, where can they find it?
Yeah, well, the easiest way is just to go to my website, which is just maxxwell.com. Maxxwell is spelled with 3 X's, so it's MAXXXWELL.com. Once you go there, you can, there's links to, Facebook and YouTube and iTunes and all that stuff. And, if they don't feel like doing that, anywhere that they can get music, basically, especially online, just search for my name and it'll come up, And I've got like music videos out there and, bios and things like that all over the place. So I'm really not hard to find.
And that's what's really important, people, is, get out there, go to Facebook pages, Reverb Nation pages. If it says like that sucker, because, when we get together as a metal community and we support each other the way it should be,
yeah.
Those likes on Facebook are the ones that are going to make the musician get their next gig.
Yeah, it's crazy how much stuff is based off that now, but a lot of, booking agents and so forth they really look at that stuff and it's like, well, how many YouTube views do you have,
Yeah.
But yeah, it's,
And you're going, dude, really?
Yeah.
Really? Whatever happened to walking out there and handing a flyer and people saying, oh, hell yeah, I just bought your CD for that one song?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That would be great, yeah.
Okay, you're an independent artist. You're doing, you've done all of this on your own.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You didn't have the... maybe you did. Did you ever get, like, your own little minions to help you, like, pass out flyers and, help you promote your shows, like, whenever you're going to play places?
Obviously, with my solo material, there is a live band. It's not me playing the tracks or anything. Like, there's an entire band. And so, everybody in the band is involved in promoting the shows and things like that. But as far as... promotion and that kind of stuff, it's pretty much all within the band.
And it takes a lot of money and it takes a lot of time and it becomes very stressful.
Yeah.
From what I've seen. And what, I give you props because beyond all the chaos that you've had to go through to get your music where you are right now, hail.
Thank you.
Yeah, my hamster just kind of like stopped spinning my wheel. You know what I mean? Who are some of your major influences? The typical question everybody asks.
Yeah, well, I have influences in terms of guitar playing, and then I have influences in terms of writing and that kind of stuff. So, as far as players, the guys who I really hold close as my influences, those are the guys I consider the technical masters, So guys like Michelangelo Badio and like Kristen Pelletieri.
Oh my God.
Tony McAlpine. Akira Takasaki from Loudness. He's incredible.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I mean, guys like that who are just monster, chops. They got tons of chops and virtuoso players. And, and there's always the argument about like, oh, they just play fast and there's no feeling. But I mean, that's a bunch of BS as far as I'm concerned. I think that in order to develop that skill, I mean, you have to put so much time into working on your playing and that kind of thing. There's no way that you can't, there's no way that you can't be a great player in a lot of different ways if you've developed that ability, So there's guys like that, and then there's guys who influenced me in terms of songwriting, and then those guys would be like Glenn Tipton and KK Downing from Priest, of course.
Mm-hmm.
They do some really, I mean, not to get too technical, but they do some really specific things in terms of when a song gets to a solo section. Like they always have a key change that goes up,
yes,
which like builds this excitement to the solo. And then there's guys like, this is a European guy, but Luca Turilli from Rhapsody. He's a phenomenal player and just an incredible writer and composer, And, I should say Yngwie, too. He's another one of those guys. I mean, he's an amazing player, but I really dig, his arrangements and the way he writes, too.
Exactly. Oh, my God, you mentioned some amazing guitarists. And the funniest part is, people don't realize, unless they're guitar players, they could sit there and they can bash, like Michelangelo's, style of getting out his little, his four-neck guitar and then just tearing it up, you know what I mean? And they'll sit there and they'll bash. Oh, well, they play too fast. Really? Can you do it?
Right, yeah.
That's the question. Can you do it? Is that why it pisses you off? Because you can't?
Yeah, you'll never find a guy who can do that and then badmouth somebody else about it. You'll never find that. It's only the guys who can't do it who, bring the other guys down. Or sometimes you'll get fans of somebody who, no offense to Slash. I mean, the guy is an icon, obviously, but, somebody who's like, oh man, Slash is my favorite guitar player. And then they go and they listen to Tony McAlpine and they realize that, oh wow, maybe Slash isn't that amazing compared to these other people. And it's like they're a little butthurt about it,
Yeah, their egos get a little busted. But and that's what happens when people become very media and narrow-minded. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's true.
Because they don't see the actual talent. They don't see the heartache. They don't see the passion that goes beyond just your power chord. You know what I'm saying? God knows when I pick up my guitar, I only know power chords. If I could play like that would be like amazing. So have you ever do you ever teach guitar to people or?
No, I really don't. I mean, I've never given lessons like on a regular basis. Obviously, I like to get together and jam with people, and so sometimes, obviously you teach things that way and you learn things.
Right.
And occasionally someone will ask me specifically to show them a certain technique or something, and so I'll do that. But in general, I don't really give lessons.
I think you'd be a great teacher.
Thank you. I mean, I've thought about it, but at this point, it's just like, I'm so busy with, obviously I'm always writing my next material and doing management stuff for my solo band, and I'm, writing new material for Hellion and things like that. So it's like I've got my plate pretty full, and I would like to try it. I think it'd be really cool, but it's just not in the cards right now.
I was going to say, in the cards, I see it coming in your future, and you just said it's not in the cards right now, and I was going to be like, oh yeah, no. Psychically, I see you teaching guitar. And I really do. I think that you're going to get this one student, and you're going to turn him into something he never thought he could become. And just with your music alone, you're going to influence so many that they're going to think of you already just from listening to your CDs and listening to what you've put out there as a teacher.
I like that. That's got a nice sound to it.
And I really do see that for you.
That's cool.
That's $2.95 a minute. No, I'm just kidding. Do you want me to go into your love life? No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
Do you want my credit card now or at the end?
Well, we'll do the credit card at the end, or we could go PayPal. It doesn't matter. No, I'm just kidding. That is so bad. I really love the fact that you've taken time out and that we finally got to connect after all the chaos, because this has been one of the best interviews. I mean, you're so knowledgeable.
Oh, thank you. Well, yeah, I'm glad we finally got to do it too. It's been worth the wait for sure.
Yeah, definitely, and I don't even want it to end. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, we could talk for 5 hours. I'd be like so into this conversation.
Well, I'd just like to say quickly, I mean, obviously, yeah, check out the latest EP, Full Metal Thunder. But as far as Hellion goes, there is a double disc anthology of Hellion that just came out about a couple months ago. And it's got, obviously it has a lot of material from before I was in the band, but there's one new track on there, which is kind of a preview of the upcoming stuff. And it's been very well received, and I think anybody who really loves that classic metal style, like Ozzy and Dio and Scorpions and that kind of stuff, I mean, you'll really, really dig that. And there's going to be a new Hellion EP of all new material coming out in a few months, so, stay tuned for that stuff.
Awesome. And you can find all this information about Maxxxwell Carlise on his website.
Right.
And the website is www.maxxwell.com, which is MAXXXWELL. I hope this interview has been good.
Absolutely.
Because for me, myself, I want to make sure that the people see exactly who you are as a person, and then they can connect with you as the person, and then listen to your music and go, holy shit. And that's what I love about doing interviews, is that I want people to see, there's a lot more that goes beyond just sitting and playing a guitar. There is so much more that goes beyond just, God, recording alone. How many times you have to go into the studio, how much money it takes, how much stress is involved in a lot of things,
Yeah.
A lot of people don't get that concept because they think, oh, well, we can just, pirate it or just download it from YouTube.
Right, yeah.
And you're like, no, dude, they've got to eat too.
I like to think that if you can make something that's genuine enough and it reaches people and really is important to them, that, they'll see that it's something that's worth supporting, That's how I feel about it. I still buy CDs and that kind of stuff, and for my favorite bands, and I hope people will look at me that way too.
Oh, and I'm sure they will. I already look at you that way, so I'm sure they will. And I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed sometimes, let me tell you.
We're good. I think it's been a great interview, and I think everybody's going to go listen to some metal.
Hell yeah. I like that idea.
Hey, this is Maxxxwell Carlise. You're tuned into DJ Hawk on Metal World Radio. Rock out with your Hawk out.